Hello, I'm back. Well, actually, we're back. Me and Mrs. Soup had a great time on holiday, seeing friends and family around the UK. Now, as soon as I mentioned that we were going to be going away for 2 weeks, it was suggested by one of you fine folk that I make some sort of visual record of the historically significant or interesting things that we see on our travels. Now, this was seconded, thirded, and even fourtheded by several of you folk out there, and I thought, well, why not? I mean, frankly, it was a good excuse to make a comprehensive photo album on my Facebook profile. But also, actually, it was a real pleasure visiting and seeking out places of interest as we were going around seeing these wonderful people who we haven't seen for a while. Now, fear not. What follows is not a holiday photo album. It's not full of pictures of us in these places. It's full of these places, actually. I don't really like pictures of just people in front of things. It's kind of boring, whereas things themselves are very exciting. So over the course of this video, and actually for the rest of this week, over the next 3 or 4 days, I'm going to be putting out shortish videos which cover different legs of our travels, because frankly we saw so much and did so much. It would be a shame to squish it all into one video and not do any of it justice. So you asked for it, and here it is, leg 1 or part 1 of our travels around England and parts of Wales. Well, parts of England and parts of Wales. So tomorrow you can expect part 2, and also tomorrow I'll be restarting the Archaeoscoops. So enjoy. Bye-bye. As requested by Jackie Rowe and seconded by many of you, here is a summary of the historical sites we saw on holiday. First of all, we travelled to Gloucestershire and the village of Churchdown. As you might expect, this village is down the hill from a church, which is at the top. The Church of St. Bartholomew sits atop Chosen Hill, with a commanding view across the Gloucestershire countryside. The rather pleasing church building has its roots in the early medieval period, around AD 1175. And to this day it remains a place of prayer and worship. Though we couldn't go in, I was fascinated by the exterior of the church, where pieces of dressed stone had been incorporated into the wall over time, and here and there people had even signed their names in the past. Now, this hill is clearly a Christian site, but close by we found evidence that the site had been renamed many times, and 2,000 years ago this was an Iron Age hill fort. The next day we visited Cheltenham and witnessed the Georgian opulence and splendour of a spa town from the 18th century. We also popped over to Gloucester itself and saw historic dockyards filled with remarkable sights. Not least the glimpse of Gloucester Cathedral in the distance. We couldn't resist. Gloucester Cathedral is an incredible building. It has its origins in AD 681 with an abbey dedicated to St. Peter. But more recently it played host to Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. This is where a note was written in blood on the wall. Out of respect for an ongoing service, I did not photograph inside the church itself. Next we travelled to North Wales to meet friends and camp in Snowdonia. The Snowdonia National Park is quite simply one of the most beautiful places on earth, as far as I'm concerned anyway, but then again, I'm biased. This is where I spent many a school vacation as a child, and I simply love the place. It's just wonderful. The campsite was at the end of a lake where I canoed as a child, and of course we had barbecue. What would a trip to Wales, especially the Welsh countryside, be without seeing at least one sheep? And naturally we did much exploring. I was showing Mrs. Soup the landscape of my childhood. These photos have little to do with archaeology, but they are undeniably gorgeous. The following day we travelled north to the coast and the castle of Caernarfon, or Carnarvon Castle. Completed in the late 13th century, Caernarfon is one of a string of castles along the North Wales coast designed to subdue the Welsh under Edward I. One of these is my favourite castle of all time, Conwy. Caernarfon dominates this section of the coast and looks out menacingly upon the Isle of Mon, also known as Anglesey. It is worthwhile noting, this castle does not have round towers, but rather angular, octagon-like structures. Sadly, we didn't have time to go in, but we had a great time visiting Caernarfon, especially counting the flags. And all too soon our time in Snowdonia came to an end.